Hello everyone, Juxtaposition here. Today's video will be entitled Chaos Culture. And of course I'm talking about the cackling cacophony of chaos portrayed in many of our fake leaders, like Kamala Harris, for example, or Noam Chomsky, Avram Noam Chomsky, as another preposterous example, or in the 100-year-old Henry Kissinger, whose real name is Heinz Meyer-Loeb from Germany. The spectacle that is Henry Kissinger, for example. He's a cackling cacophony of chaos. He sat on the board of directors of Gulf and Western when they owned Paramount Pictures and produced Rosemary's Baby. He sat on the board of directors of the Rand Corporation that gave you the fake whistleblower Daniel Ellsberg of Harvard University. Henry Kissinger, aka Heinz Meyer-Loeb, he's a alumnus of Harvard University. Along with Ted Kaczynski, Jamie Dimon, Jane Fraser, Jeffrey Skilling, CEO of Enron Corporation. Like Timothy Leary was a department head of psilocybin at Harvard University, like Abigail Folger has a master's degree in art history from Harvard University, then went on to work for the CIA and get murdered by NATO forces and bayoneted 28 times with an M7 bayonet. Yeah, by military soldiers, probably flown in from Kiev, Belgium. Harvard University, home to mayhem, murder, criminality, and Spooksville, CIA, USA. Harvard University. You can't deny it. You can't deny it when you have people like Timothy Leary and Ted Kaczynski as your role models. And Daniel Ellsberg, the fake whistleblower that stole the Pentagon Papers from Henry Kissinger's Rand Corporation, but deleted the whole section on the Operation Phoenix from 1968 forward. The history of Vietnam, minus the political assassinations, torture, and prisoner dilemma games of the Phoenix program, which is now in full operation here in the fake United States of America. We have Operation Phoenix. It's called Artificial Intelligence, Coronavirus. It's called One World Order. It's called chemtrail dumpings from NATO airplanes. That's what Operation Phoenix was in Vietnam. They did chemtrail dumpings in Vietnam too. It's not the first rodeo. All right, so a few observations here. A lot of articles in the fake news lately about how science is not up for debate. Well, in case you didn't know, science is debate. Science evolves and changes, and old ideas are discarded as they're learned to be fraudulent and false. Science is overwhelmingly fraudulent and false because it's funded by bank anthropologists. So when you realize that the laboratories and the PhDs that are held hostage to get their accreditation, when you realize that they're all basically working at the point of a bayonet, you'll realize that we have pseudoscience, we don't have science. We have fake science. So debate? No, I don't think there's anything to debate. I would agree with that. It's all fraudulent. So just discard it. Just in the same way that when you go visit a medical doctor because you feel like you have an ailment or you want a checkup, and he dismisses your symptoms and prescribes some pharmaceutical products or protocols which reimburse him handsomely, you should dismiss and discard his advice and get a second opinion from a non-licensed healer, because you see, licensing is one of the key ways that the artificial intelligence works. In other words, to be a lawyer you need a license, which a chimpanzee can get that license. And then to be an accountant, to be a certified public accountant, you need a license. And to be a cosmetologist, you need a license. To be a barber and cut hair, you need a license. To be a medical doctor, you need a license. Why? I mean, I've found that I seek out whoever has results, whoever gets results. And I can assure you that in the sporting community, the athletes seek out the dopers that know how to dope, and none of them are medical doctors, not one. In fact, they avoid medical doctors because a medical doctor get you killed, okay? Medical doctors don't know how to handle bovine synthetic hemoglobin, which is cow blood. They don't know about Norwegian calves like Lance Armstrong does. They don't know about how to mix cocaine, morphine, amphetamines in a cocktail called Madman's Mix, also known as Pot Belge in Belgium. Pot Belge, Madman's Mix. It gives you a euphoric high, gives you anti-inflammatory properties when you throw corticosteroids in with your amphetamines, cocaine, and heroin. And you can do a bike race for 4 hours, and then you can go to a wedding and dance the night away, and then you can have a trellis race on the side of your hotel and see who gets to the rooftop first when you're loaded with Pot Belge, the Madman's Mix. And medical doctors don't know jack about that, but professional athletes do. You're not going to win an Olympic gold medal. You're not going to be selected for the B team on the Olympics if you don't know about the Madman's Mix, okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is there's a huge reservoir of knowledge that exists by unlicensed people, okay? Our nanotechnology industry is not led by medical doctors. It's mainly created by kids at fancy universities who want to get a master's degree or a PhD doctorate, and they're held hostage in a laboratory and paid low wages and given housing to create nanotechnology or bioweapons. That's where the weaponry system is built, by people with limited experience in real life. But I can assure you, no medical doctors are anywhere near any of the things being created today. So essentially what I'm telling you is because of the Medicare reimbursement system, which is mirrored by the insurance system for the non-Medicare patients, every person that goes to see a medical doctor is essentially put in the same category of having to go see a criminal defense lawyer or a lawyer who will help you with your lawsuit. In other words, you're going to get bamboozled. The lawyers and doctors are going to quickly size you up and see how they can maximize their reimbursement. In other words, how to use you to get money, either through the insurance company or your family, or through intimidation and fear tactics, which is cancer. Cancer is a huge fear porn device. All right, so does that mean that lawyers are jokes? Yeah, it does. Does it mean that medical doctors are jokes? Yeah, it does. They're not funny, but they are jokes. Medical doctors are not to be taken seriously. Just like, would you take a lawyer seriously? Are you crazy? The only reason that lawyers have a job is because they've built this legal system under maritime law where you more or less get, if you can't resolve your problems independently, you default into this system. Or if you get picked up by the sheriff's department or the police and you get sucked into the vortex, which is the district attorney's office or the state attorney general's offices, or God forbid, a federal crime across state lines, then you are stuck with dealing with lawyers. And when you attempt to defend yourself in court, the judges nervously have a secret meeting and decide that you cannot do that because then they'll lose control of their courtroom, which they have very little control of it in the first place since they don't understand the law. See, that's why they don't want you to defend yourself, because you might actually act like Perry Mason and you might actually read the law, which none of the lawyers in the courtroom have looked at a law book, I think, in 30 years. So that would scare the heck out of them. And we've learned that the stenographer or the court reporter does not record all of the activities that go on in a courtroom. So, in other words, the judge can suppress the record of proceedings in their courtroom, meaning that you have a charade, you have a kangaroo court. If you're not going to have a record of everything that's done, then you're railroading people, you're making sausages, and you're not in any way observing due process. You're destroying appeal rights when you don't record, when there's no record so that someone could go back and see how you were railroaded. But that goes on every day in courtrooms around the whole world, because there's really only one legal system for the whole world, which is supported by the one world banking system for the whole world, which is supported by the NATO military for the whole world. Even the non-NATO militaries are effectively a division of NATO. That's right. They told you this in Mad Magazine on the last page when they had the fold-out section that was spy versus spy, the spy in the white coat versus the spy in the black coat, to create, the illusion that that's the KGB and this is the CIA and they're enemies of each other, they're opponents. But when you folded the paper together, you realize they all go to the same Christmas party. They intermarry, they're pals, because there's one intelligence system: military intelligence, political intelligence, Mossad, KGB, CIA, British intelligence. Is birds of a different feather that all flock together. All right, well, anyway, that's my point of today's video, is that I realize it seems chaotic, but when you red pill yourself and you do the research, you realize that it's all going to the AI. In other words, it's one world policy for everyone. Everyone will be surveilled, not just Sharon Tate, not just Henry Kissinger, not just Jeffrey Epstein, not just Tom Hanks, not just Anne Heche, not just Ellen DeGeneres and Stephen Twitch Boss, not just Terry Kath of the Big Thing Chicago, not just Janis Joplin of Columbia Records, not just Robert Lamb of Chicago, not just Karen Perk Lamb of Chicago and the Beach Boys and the Menendez family. So she says. She says she was best friends with Kitty, which I believe was a mendacity. Anyway, what I wanted to say is that doctors are controlled, lawyers are controlled, they're pigeonholed. Wall Street traders, they're in a meta-universe. They know nothing about the investment business. The last person you would ever talk about investments with was be someone that's in the business. They're clueless. They just go by how they get paid, just like doctors do, just like lawyers do. They're focused 100% on how to maximize their compensation. All right? And that's how you can control people using bank anthropology. You just devise a system to get the people to behave in a certain way within the parameters that you decide, and then you can adjust the parameters as you deem fit. That's bank anthropology. That's the chaos society that we live in. It's a chaos culture. And the people who, make $20 or $30 million a year are under the impression that they're experts in their field. They're not. They're just another flying monkey in the Wizard of Oz. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.